All of our kids, and we do a lot of things. We don't charge for SAT prep courses, PSAT for sophomores, and fine arts. You know, a lot of districts require fees for participation in extracurricular activities. I'm deathly opposed to that. I'm convinced that every time you collect one of those fees, you just bought a no vote on your next bond election. You know, and you've got a lot of kids whose families can't afford to pay those fees. You have to figure out how you're going to include those, and that's the easiest way to do that is not to charge those at all. The other thing is questions that I'll get. You know, we have too many coaches. You know, the reason we have so many coaches, we have so many sponsors, because we have so many kids participating, and that's a great thing. You know, we have upwards of 60+% of our kids are involved in extracurricular activities. I will tell you, based on my experience, you wouldn't want to go into public high schools anywhere if they didn't have extracurricular activities. Okay? Extracurricular activities are a hook for kids. They give us a way to keep kids involved, and they do better socially and they do better academically because of that. Plus, we also like to see them compete and perform. All right, what did we do this year? Well, we got into this summer, and I told Mr. King to quit calling me because every time he called me this summer, the deficit got deeper. And we got somewhere, he said it's somewhere between 27 and 30 million. I said, all right. We went to work on it. He said, what are we going to do? So we began paring this thing, and we did what I call taking the low-hanging fruit. These are cuts that we made, and we didn't go out and broadcast all of this and go out and stir everybody up with it. I made a commitment to the employees. My commitment to them is that nobody is going to lose their job. Okay? What's going to happen is we're going to have fewer employees, but we are going to do that through attrition. One of the advantages of being a district of over 50,000 kids is we have a lot of turnover in personnel every year, just routinely. So, we put a hiring freeze except for teaching positions. We keep the staffing ratios low, and we'll begin to look at those again. We cut campus budgets by 5%, administrative budgets, some by 50%. We've reduced the substitute budget by $1 million, which will minimize staff development during the school day. I will tell you, all of the things that we do, these are the things that we can do and move as far away from instruction as possible. But there is some leakage on this. You begin to do these things, there are going to be some impact. For instance, this one concerns me. Staff development is important. We need to make sure that our teachers are up to speed and continue to give them the best opportunity to do the best job they can to instruct our kids. Fund balance is our district saving account. What you see, the state recommends a minimum fund balance of operating expenses of about $100 million, and we've got about $105 million right now. That sounds like a lot of money. Remember that deficit I talked about that was 27? Well, we've reduced that to about 14 in that range. Okay? So if you're spending $14 million a year out of that fund balance, it's not going to take long. You're not replenishing that. You're spending it down. We also have a resolution that the board passed that we cannot reduce our fund balance below $45 million. Two really good reasons for that. When we go to New York to promote our bond sales, okay, and to get our bond ratings, what happens is they look at that fund balance and they see that as a sign of good, strong fiscal management. Okay? That helps us get that. All right, we get a good bond rating, we get lower interest rates. Okay? The other thing that happens is if we have this money in fund balance, okay, we draw interest on that, and that helps us. So if we spend the fund balance down, we've lost the bond ratings, which cost more money, and we also have less revenue because of that. So the other thing about the fund balance that I think is really important is this 3 months is probably not as solid a number as it used to be. Years ago in Texas, we used to have something called proration. Now, they haven't done that in a long time. But what would happen is the legislature didn't figure things just right, and they'd get to the middle of the year, and they decided they didn't have all the money they told school districts they were going to send them. So they just sent us a letter and said, King's X, you're not going to get that much money. Okay? So that's one of the reasons that you built this. The other thing is the only way that school finance has changed in Texas significantly has been as a result of either the threat of or actual litigation. Okay? Somebody is always suing the Texas Education Agency over school finance. I will tell you that the next lawsuit is just waiting for the economy to improve. Okay? But at any rate, when this happens, and the last time that she got real serious about this and the state didn't respond and the legislature didn't respond, the judge came this close saying he was going to stop the flow of money to schools. So if you have a fund balance, what that does is that gives you a couple of months that you could open school and you could operate until they got this sorted out. If you were a district that didn't have any fund balance, then if that happened, you would just not have school. Okay. All right, what are our options faced with this? Remember I said we got this deficit that's hanging over us. We can do nothing. Next year we'll have an $18 million deficit. It's going to go to 18 because we're opening some new facilities next year. Okay? You know, one thing that was amazing, I have to tell you this story, when we were looking at, we're building a new elementary school off of 121, off that business 121 down there, and when we looked at naming schools, one of the board members said, do we have a Lewisville elementary school? And we said, well, duh, no we don't. You know, it seemed kind of unusual to us that we wouldn't have one that, so we will have one. Anyway, what do we do with this? Okay, if we do nothing, we've got this $18 million deficit, we increase class sizes, we eliminate programs not related to core classes, continue to reduce staff and resources, and again, minimizing opportunities. Talk about the programs. Someone asked me, said, what? Give me some examples. I think a couple of examples would be, how about our night high school? What a great program it is. We've gone out, we've found, what, Karen, 65, 70 kids that we brought back in, and either got, kids that finished, that were close to having their diploma. Just stuff goes on in kids' lives. Okay. The other thing that our night high school does, I see it has three purposes. Obviously, we want to get those kids who've fallen behind and get a chance to accelerate and get them caught up, those kids we bring back. The other thing that I like to do with that is we have some kids, okay, like everybody does, whose life is absolutely miserable being in traditional high school. Okay? Those kids need to get through, get in a setting where they can get through and get out and get on with their lives as best we can. We try to provide that for them. And we also provide kids an opportunity to accelerate. We have kids that go so they can graduate as juniors so they can go on to the university. And kids who've got their game plan lined out. They know exactly what they want to do.
Dr. Lloyd, the night high school opened up last January. It hasn't been a year of exploration.
Yeah.
And the enrollment's about 180.
Yeah, thank you. About 180 in our night high school. And again, we just started that last year. The other program I would say that might be at risk of that is our drug testing program. Okay. Now, we put that out there. We went through a lot of headaches to get it in place and done that. We haven't found a lot of kids involved with drugs. We think that we've provided a deterrent for kids. The fact that the opportunity exists for them to lose out on some of those extracurriculars and things that they want to do. We think maybe we've given kids a chance that they have something that they can use to tell somebody, no, I don't want to take a chance of losing my opportunities to play. I don't know how significant all that is. Those are thoughts that we have about that. Okay. Option B. Another term I told you, tax ratification election, TRE. All right. Now this really gets convoluted, so bear with me. The first thing we talk about is these 2 cents. Texas has golden pennies. Everybody else has copper pennies, but we have golden pennies. When the legislature in 2007 passed their school finance bill, they tried to figure out how were they going to do something to help the equalization issue. Remember, you've got this lawsuit group out here you got 2 lawsuit groups. Okay. 3, take that back. Okay, the first group you have is those low-income districts, those low-wealth districts are saying it's not equitable at all. It doesn't, and I don't disagree with this statement. Where a child is born, where they live, where they go to school, shouldn't condition the quality of their education. I think the state has a responsibility to deal with that. I just don't think they ought to break the backs of other school districts to do it. But that was the first group. The other group is districts like Lewisville. We're unhappy about the fact that we don't get to keep our money at home. The fact that they haven't provided, not so much in terms of equity, we're concerned about the issues of adequacy. And all of this is about adequacy, about providing enough money.